today's gonna be easy.
Yes.
Everything in North Carolina training is on inspections. Really the main key points that I want to talk about, it's 10 o'clock and I'm starting. So are which inspections, right? And we're a lot of us are that are duly licensed are coming from city to country. So the big difference of septic and well and mineral and oil and gas and radon and all of that nature. So that's really just all of our input on this training as the importance of it. Don't waive those inspections. Actually, how to really talk to your buyers as far as doing them, because they are costly. And if you guys have any inspectors or companies that you want to throw out there, I think this is a great platform to do that, because that is something that I've experienced is, hey, who do you use for what? And it's, just building those resources. And, a lot of people have their one and done and they're good and they stick with that company, but we're in real estate. We need a plethora. So I always enjoy sharing those companies and those people's and your experience, because, just specifically mine with septic, it's been kind of all over the place. So I am going to pull up a couple of forms that I feel is necessary. So as you're going through the motions, like Jordan just got licensed in North Carolina. She's starting fresh. So I want to guide a little bit on, going through the motions of, well, I'm an agent. I know that there's inspections necessary. Is there a form necessary? Right. So just touch on that first, and then really hone in on a couple of the importances of some of these forms. So give me 1 second. So share my screen. Where did it go? All right. So we are gonna go. So I'm on Navica. And just so everybody knows, Navica is switching over to Flex in August. So a lot of this is going to look different, but the forms won't change, right? So how I get to places is going to change. We won't see this screen anymore. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. We won't see this screen anymore. It'll be Flex. So just bear with me. Point of this is showing you the forms. Okay. So one of the key ones is the additional provisions addendum. So this is included when you write your offer. And it does hit on septic and pool inspections. So if you really from the jump know that the septic needs to be installed still, or it needs to be modified, there is, a checkbox here that can be addressed from the beginning, right? So I have not utilized this section yet. Carla, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So when we come across this bridge, and if you guys have information prior to you submitting a contract or, anything like that, we'll be able to guide you on that, kind of work through it together.
Okay.
1 second. Can I get Katie on here? Here's the Wi-Fi pass. That's the Wi-Fi.
Oh, I just got it.
Okay. I'll get her on here. Give me 1 second, y'all. No, it's okay. You're trying to join. Here. Right here. Let me email it to you or text it to you.
Email. Katie Sells. Thanks.
There we go. Zoom link. All right. Cool. So also on here, scrolling down on page 2 is the pool spa inspection and preparation. So really, if you haven't done it before, these forms really walk you through, how to do it. So it says any pool and spa inspection buyer may choose to conduct shall be at buyer's expense in accordance with the contract. So first and foremost, please let your buyers know this is a buyer due diligence state. So what that means is the seller is not responsible for anything that is not required of the lender, right? So a lot of our questions as Virginia agents are, hey, where do we find, where is it holding the seller responsible for them to pay for termite inspections? Well, it's implied in there, especially that we have that FHA VA addendum. And in the contract, it says any seller required, inspection for them to pay for. Like it's covered there in a blanket statement. So we don't need an additional section or anything to cover that. But we have in our office, we have, suggested that we use this section, the agreed upon repairs and or improvement section, to cover yourself. Any termite and moisture, any condo or HOA issues that may come up. So I know Jordan had ran into an issue of the HOA and the condo association kind of going back and forth with who's responsible for when that HOA inspector comes out and they hit items. Is it the seller? Is it the buyer? Is it, who is it? And there really isn't anywhere, especially in North Carolina, that holds the HOA accountable or the seller accountable for anything that falls under that category. So that is something that we highly suggest that you guys include in your agreed upon repairs here, whether it be from the beginning or after, right? So you can always, agree upon later, with the listing agent and the seller of, hey, we didn't see these coming up, but the HOA, you currently own the property. So how about you fix it? However you're going to negotiate it, you can do that here on this form. So Carla, do you have any suggestions or anything? Or is that kind of how you feel the way to go about that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Debbie. So cool. So that's the importance of this form. Again, first and foremost, when you are, especially in this market of, we're shifting right now. We are seeing, still we're bidding on, highest and best, timeline or timed offers, or now we're seeing properties sit and we're negotiating closing costs and we're back into doing our job, right? So a lot of these forms are going to come into play a lot more. And now you're still reminding your buyer, hey, you have your right to your inspections. Do not waive your rights to your inspections, and really elaborate on North Carolina's inspection timeline. So that is your due diligence time frame. Your due diligence time frame covers your client from the beginning to the end. It's not just inspections. It is appraisal. It is lender approval. It's the whole shebang. It is if your client has to sell their house before they buy, make sure their closing date is in your due diligence time frame. Because if anything were to happen with the sale of their home, they are covered. Because there's still, you can always extend your due diligence time frame. There is an extension. The seller has to agree to it, but if you are setting the standard with your client and that listing agent and that seller from the very beginning of, hey, these are the terms. This is why our due diligence is 3 weeks, because a lot of listing agents and sellers are trying to shorten due diligence timeframes. Do not allow them to do that for your client's sake. Even if you've got a client who's easy peasy, all they want is a home inspection, and they don't need 3 weeks to do that. Well, that's not the point. The point is, you got to make sure they're covered top to bottom. They could lose their job next week and they won't get their due diligence money back. And, if they forked over any, and it just could turn ugly and nasty, it could cause a lot more issues than necessary. So again, making sure that your client understands the importance of their inspections and their rights, and don't waive them or shorten their timeline of what they are, allotted. So, and what's kind of expected in North Carolina, it's take your time, it's 30 to 45 days to closing, and I know that a lot of people's timeline is different, but really emphasize the importance of that.
So Kara, I've got a question for you. Are two questions actually. So are inspections in North Carolina about the same cost that you found as inspections here in Virginia? Like,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, home inspections, 300 to 500, depending on the size of the house, sometimes more. Pool inspections, a couple $100. Septic inspections, 500 or so.
Yep, 5 and up. So, and that was actually, it's a really great question, Jordan. I was actually coming to the professional services disclosure and election form and how important it is. So we can keep track of these costs because it's a due diligence state, because we are dealing now with septic and well and pool and all these other inspections that, hey, buyer, that's your responsibility. That's an out-of-pocket expense. Provide them and fill this out for yourself. Like, I use this for me. And then of course we have to give it to our buyer to acknowledge anyway, but it helps you and saves you time. You know what I mean? And you can list out these providers that, hey, have just been thrown your way. You may not honestly have used them before, but it's going to benefit you down the road because, where we are at specifically in North Carolina, we've got a lot of people, but more is coming, right? Moyac is up and coming.
Yeah.
So we've got Albemarle Septic and what is it? Heinz Septic and one more. That's it. You know what I mean? So it's put the information out there for you, one, and two, especially for your clients, because all of this is their choice. This, inspection, did they waive it? Did they select to do it? When does it need to be ordered by? And the name and the services of the provider, right? So some of these, you could say, hey, buyer, I need you to call the radon company and set that up. I need you to call the septic company because, yes, we're going to be there as many inspections as necessary, but sometimes in that 2 to 3 week span, if they are doing all of these inspections, you can't line them up all the time. You know what I mean? So really remind your client, hey, it is your job and I will help you. Call them and set these inspections up, but giving them this list of, and especially down the road, say they have these services done and then something happens when they're homeowners, they still have this list of people. So again, just a really good tool to use for you. Also, I use this when, I fill in this attorney spot. It's very important because that is another thing that, we're kind of feeling out here. We're utilizing these other attorneys, to see who fits best with us and our clients too. And kind of learning that, hey, this is not a title company state. It is a huge no-no.
Right.
Use attorneys here. That is it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And you need to start establishing your relationship with these attorneys, right? To make your life easier, the whole transaction, your client's life easier, because we deal with people all over. We deal with people that are here that are, having to use a power of attorney or, whatever. So really just providing them, you guys know that the information of these companies is vital, to your success and theirs and for a smooth transaction. But really, I get a lot of the questions of, do I really need to have a septic inspection? Obviously, it depends. If the seller just had the septic inspected last year, we need proof that it was done, but they didn't have it pumped. They had it pumped 6 years ago. Do you get it pumped? There are risks that we take with doing that, right? But you as the buyer and the buyer's agent, you have that right to get that septic pumped. So it's a potential, it's just like doing a home inspection. You could lose out on that money, but it's always weighing your costs, right? Tell your clients, hey, if you're buying in North Carolina, you need a couple grand to be able to say, hey, I'm okay with putting in a couple grand prior to even buying this house, if this is the house for me. So it's a difficult conversation sometimes to have with your buyer if you know that they don't have a lot to bring to the table, but you still need to emphasize the importance of those inspections. Okay. I know sometimes it's hard for us because we're like, well, we know that this inspection is going to cost them, $1,500 or stuff like that. But to really circle back to your question, Jordan, a lot of these home inspectors out here offer water tests, and they offer the water quality tests. They offer to do the termite and moisture. They offer to do the pool and spa. So yes, the home inspection itself is pretty much the same price. They do go off of square footage, and if it's a crawl or a slab, things of that nature. But they have a lot of additional services that they can offer your client too. So like a one-stop shop. So it's really nice. So you're not having to call 4 other people, and all those inspections can happen. So as far as price is concerned, yes, it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
I've not done
And
a
then,
radar test inspection, so I'm not sure. And I haven't even done a pool inspection here yet.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there something in the purchase agreement, like I obviously haven't studied the contract yet, that's similar to the Virginia cap?
No.
Where there's like required repairs are already pre-negotiated in the contract.
Nope. No,
Okay.
ma'am. So it's kind of, again, cover yourself. They're very general with their walkthrough, how the house should be before closing. Broom swept, in the same condition, as the last time it was left. There is a blurb. Let me pull it up for you so we can go over what page it's on, because it's a general touch, and I feel like it does need to be more detailed at some point down the road, because everybody's different, and it's not just oh, hey, this is what is expected of me as a seller. No, this is what is expected of you, right? It is in black and white, so because sometimes a seller can interpret that and be like, I didn't tell me that I had to do that, so let me pull it up. Let's see where that blurb is at. Yeah, I do like, so one of the things I do like is how the offer to purchase outlines, there's a warning box, there's these important boxes that kind of get you to stop while you're going through the offer and reread it yourself, and just kind of remind you of the important things to touch on with your client too. So I really like that about this offer to purchase. Yeah, so this buyer's due diligence process, I really hone in on this part because of how important, it is. Because a lot of people are like, well, do I have to do a due diligence fee? You don't have to, but it's a negotiation. And it really speaks to the seller. Like, hey, I want your house. I'm going to do my job as the buyer and do my due diligence and do the things that are necessary. But I understand if I back out, that's your money, and some people can do that. Some people can't do that. Right. So it's really on how you describe all of this process to your people, and making them understand down the road, hey, when you go to sell, what would you want? That's kind of how I cover due diligence and the importance of it, whether that be $200. I've had someone do $250, and the seller accepted that because they're like, okay, they know the risk if they back out. They know the risk that I'm taking when I'm taking my house off the market for them. Cool. So I have that conversation a lot with my clients of, well, I don't want to do both. Well, always explain both sides of it, and the importance of it. So, but just know they don't have to. They don't even have to earn money. So, but just know in the shift and not in this market shift, it's not going to fly really anymore. It could, but we'll see. Carla, have you had offers written with due diligence, or because I've kind of had both. I've had them with high due diligence and I've had them with none. Carla's busy. Let's see. Yeah, so see, it kind of outlines the extension if necessary here on page 5. So really, again, a lot of your questions that could possibly come up while you're writing your offer is kind of explained here within the offer. So. See, so there is no loan or appraisal contingency in this offer to purchase and contract. Therefore, buyer is advised to consult with buyer's lender prior to signing this offer to assure that the due diligence period allows sufficient time for the loan process. So, like, I can't tell y'all enough, like, that is so necessary to explain to your client. Like, you know, yes, the seller, it may make or break your deal if the seller counters with, hey, I want a shorter due diligence. Is your buyer willing to sacrifice, one, their money, and two, that chance that they could lose out on this house, and the seller could say kick rocks if your loan gets denied, or you need to just extend it, right? So any change in the contract, make sure it happens under your due diligence period. Okay, that makes sense. Again, I haven't done radon. I don't really know anybody that has, but it kind of outlines everything here, Jordan, on page 5. You know, as far as negotiations and who's responsible for what, you know, but there isn't anything. If you ever want to add something to this is the form you used, the additional provisions, honestly, because North Carolina doesn't allot us, right, that general addendum. You know, they want the attorney to draw up the general addendum, right, if there's any changes. But really try to utilize this number 4 slot, even though it says agreed upon repairs and or improvements, really just type it out here, you know, and make sure it's marked properly on your offer that you have attached an additional provisions addendum. Again, just to cover yourself and to cover your clients with any situation that comes up.
So how do you do a list of repairs? Is there is this what you use for repairs, like a PICRA type thing, or?
So
but
when
you
you
change it as well?
are, yeah, right. So no, that's a great question. There's actually a due diligence request form.
Okay.
Yeah. So we really use this additional provisions in the beginning. And then what
Okay.
I've seen some other brokers try to negotiate the repairs on this form, which I didn't agree with, because you have this form. You have a due diligence repairs request. Very simple. Okay. Based upon the buyer's due diligence, the buyer requests and the seller agrees to the following. Boom. This is exactly where you put, hey, per line item 1.3 of page 7 of the home inspection. This is it. You know, you are either agreeing or not agreeing to releasing the home inspection on this form. So this is your PICRA.
Cool.
Yep. You don't get a lot of space if you're requesting the whole book, but yeah, I definitely use this form time after time. So make
And
sure
do you have
this
to be
form is turned in before your due diligence period is up.
do you have to be as detailed on this form as you do on the Virginia one?
I would. I really would, just because, you know, the more detailed, the better. The more that you're not leaving open for interpretation. So, because, you know, a lot of people here that I've encountered, right, they want to do it themselves. And cool, you're a handyman, that's fine, but I still need to know that it is sound. So a lot of the verbiage in here is, you know, in the event that the parties have agreed to any adjustment of the condition of the property, then such adjustment shall be completed prior to settlement in a good and workmanlike manner. According to who? You know what I mean? So, because I've ran into it, a seller completely disagreed with my buyer, and it killed the deal. They didn't buy that house because they could not agree that those repairs were done in a workmanlike manner. So Just so I would definitely, I always continue to write in by a licensed contractor, or if they have agreed to the seller do it, you know, we see this repair 5 days prior to final walkthrough, you know, I outline it all if that is the terms that we've agreed on.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so once all of your inspections are done, make sure you are requesting everything formally, right? So whether it be on this due diligence request and agreement or the additional provisions addendum, right? If you need more space, use both, whatever. Again, I've had other brokers use both these forms to request repairs before. So it's really whichever one you want. They're both legit forms. They both are acceptable. You know, but your due diligence request and agreement is there for repairs. Yeah, really, these are just the things that I really wanted to emphasize today. Again, it's not going to be a long training, but I know that we are kind of shifting out of buyer wave everything kind of market, thank goodness. And now we're really
Thank God.
on say that again.
I said, thank God.
I'm telling you, I know we all are feeling it. Like, you know, we're not going into these houses shaking in our boots at these inspections, like, please don't let anything be wrong. You know, we're really giving our buyers, again, that opportunity to do their due diligence, do it well, and not be scared to ask for repairs anymore, you know. And I think, you know, as we do as professionals and agents, realtors, whether you just are brokers in charge, really push this professional services disclosure. That's something that I just wanted to touch on really this training, because again, there's so many moving parts in your couple of weeks of due diligence. So it's really easy to schedule all of these. Again, like if you're an agent that you're used to calling and scheduling, you know, it's kind of second nature. But if you're newer, definitely utilize this form. It is something that will save time and your peace of mind, because you're not going to remember what company that other broker suggested to you. Write it down here, you know. So these forms are really for us, I think. And then just having your client sign off on it just covers everything. So that's really it for inspections for me. Again, if you have any questions about like what inspections should I do, or am I missing any inspections, utilize this form, ladies and gentlemen. It is right there for you. There isn't really anything else that I can think of. Carla, is there any other inspection that you can think of that you've done or that you've seen?
I don't think Carla's on here anymore.
Oh, did she hop off? Okay.
Is there any way that you could, I think it's just me and Katie on here, send us at least the form that you use with the contacts that you have?
Absolutely. I was going to say, let me not like throw out some names in this training, but I will absolutely send you guys my list for sure. Because I'm still building mine. I'm still building, you know, like attorneys lists, you know, through all the experiences. So absolutely, I got you.
Cool.
And if anybody else, if you're watching this video, my email, carouselsva@gmail.com. If you want that list, just email me. You know, that sharing is caring. You know, I constantly, from my broker in charge to other brokers and from outside of my brokerage, and I know that they're licensed in North Carolina, I hit them up. So it's really, again, tight-knit community. You know, whether it's in Virginia or North Carolina, sharing is caring. If you guys know of any home inspectors, septic guys, roofers, contractors, tell them, share them with all of us, and I'll do the same. So Jordan, do you have any other questions, babe? Do you know how to access these forms yet?
I'm still working on it,
Okay.
but it's just a matter of,
I know that they are in our system. They are in Brokerment. So if you need to access them quick, fast, in a hurry, they are in Brokerment. But I know we're all learning this new Flex system now. So hopefully we will be able to access them. And then once we all really get trained, we're all shifted from Navica to stop sharing. Once we're all shifted from Navica to Flex, I'll do a quick training on that too for everybody, just because that's our bread and butter. We need to know where the forms are and how to fill them out, so I'll make sure I touch on that too.
Cool. Cool.
Well, that was quick and easy today. I hope it helped. I will definitely send you guys
It definitely did.
the list that I use of my people, and if anything else comes up, just let me know.
Cool. Thank you, Kara.
You're welcome. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Katie.